Chapter 11. A Con Man. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Butler Sheng and the rest decided to watch silently, trying to see what was going on or what information would get exchanged. Soon, Minato and Yanhua stood right before their booth nervously. Dorian smiled at them. "What can I do for you two?" The duo looked at each other before taking large gulps of saliva down nervously. Excuse me. But you offer divinations, correct?" "Yes. That's right. So. Your services are real, not, fake." PFF Hayden and the rest standing behind Minato tried their best to hold their laughter in. Ha 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 ha. This was just too hilarious. They thought these cowards wanted to purchase something. But who would have known that they would stop for divinations? Hey, morons. This guy is definitely a con man. Don't you know that such things don't exist? That's right. If people could really predict the future or see things, then wouldn't they have already taken over this world by now? What a bunch of good for nothings. If you want to be cheated, then hurry it up. We don't have much time to waste here. The trio at the back taunted Minato and Yanhua, calling them idiots. And even those nearby also joined in to laugh at them too. It was just too ridiculous. But the duo who were being laughed at just looked at Dorian desperately, waiting for his answer. It was now that Butler Sheng, Biwo, and Haru noticed something wrong. These two were frightened of something. They had a deep sense of fear within them, and it didn't seem to be about the trio behind them. While everyone was still laughing, Dorian's best words froze even the trio at the back. "The five of you are involved in a high-stake game for money. And so far, it's been going very well. You've all entertained your audience, capturing their hearts and earning big. But now, this is your very last game. Today, you all plan to play big. But there's a divide amongst you all. 3 of you plan to continue, while you 2 want to call it quits but don't have the courage to. And now, you're here to find out if it's a bad or good idea to carry out the last dare in Waffle Mountain, correct?" Ha. Silence. Everyone stared at Dorian in shock. How? How did he know? Degree 0 degree, seeing their expressions, Butler Sheng, Biwo and Haru were taken aback in wonder. Could it be that he truly a divination master? No. Divination didn't exist, right? Hayden, Lulu and Terzo had completely different thoughts. They had been very tight-lipped about it, not revealing it to anyone, apart from themselves. Even Hayden's gang only thought that they were standing guard around the perimeter for an operation. So how did this guy know? Could it be that he accidentally heard it from somewhere and was here to scam them? Yes. Wasn't that what most scam artists do? They stalk the people they want to scam and gather information on them. Thinking like this, they didn't believe in Dorian's so-called divination ability. But unlike them, Minato and Yanhua were so shocked that their lips began to quiver in shock. "Master." "Yes. That's exactly why we came to you." "Oh great master. Please tell us. Should we go ahead or not?" Typically, I would have advised you to stay as far away as possible from the mountain because only danger would meet you there. But I can also see even if you don't go up there, wherever you two go, things won't end up well. So the answer you're looking for, to go or not to go, will depend on yourselves." "What?" The duo looked at each other and trembled even more. Their eyes grew panicked as countless waves of worry quickly formed on their foreheads. Instinctively, they slammed their hands on the stall and leaned forward in fear. Bam! "Master, what do you mean by that? So starting from today, our lives will always be in danger whether we go up the mountain or not?" "Master, surely, you must have a way to stop all this and save us, right? We don't want to be stalked, only to have our organs taken out." "I knew it. I knew those people were traffickers. No. We have to call the police. Only they can stop this whole madness. Police, they are probably working in line with those rich bastards. So wouldn't we just be turning ourselves in for death? The duo gripped their hair in panic and disbelief. They were so young, so why did they have to die now? Hayden and the rest didn't think that Dorian's words were targeting the rich men. Ednel.co no. Those words were clearly warning these idiots to be wary of them. That's right. Even if they played the game and took the money, they would go all out to kill these two after today. And if the two didn't want to go to the mountain, making everyone lose 50 million, of course they would torture them and even sell their organs to make up the money. The way they looked at it, whether the duo went up the mountain or decided to turn back home, they were dead either way. But what baffled them was how Dorian knew of their plans. Could it be that he belonged to one of the rival gangs or something? Up till this very moment, they still didn't believe it was divination. Please. That was like saying a train could fly, or human beings could chew molten lava and be okay. That was just too ridiculous, all right. Everyone assumed that the enemy was human, but sadly, they were so far from the truth. Watching Hayden and the rest drag the dazed duo, Butler Sheng, Biwo, and Haru looked at their disappearing silhouettes grimly. They had heard a lot and were shocked by the turn of events. Now, the most important thing was what the young master wanted to do. Dorian suddenly stood up and looked at them sternly. Tonight will be your first introductory lesson into the new world I'm about to bring you all into. Stay by my side, and try not to die. Chapter 12 Waffle Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed quickly. And soon, the night had covered the entire sky in one swoop. And out on the mountain region past the woods was a secluded open space. There were large rocks of strange shapes randomly positioned on the open space, as well as several bumps on the uneven ground. Plop. Hi 3. We've finally made it. Terzo exclaimed while dumping his heavy bag on the ground with relief. When they first began the journey, it didn't seem all that heavy. But after climbing up for several hours past the harsh troubles of nature and the terrible terrain on the mountain, his bag suddenly felt like it was 100 pounds heavier. They had left in the late morning and had only arrived now, which showed just how rough and big this mountain region was. They followed the map, just as those rich men had instructed, and ended up in this open space. But looking around, it seems that no one was in sight yet. So, where were those wealthy men? Weren't they going to watch them perform again? Well, maybe they hadn't arrived yet. Fortunately, from their investigations, there weren't any ferocious creatures around these parts. Just your typical rabbits, pheasants, etc. Thinking like this, Terzo couldn't be bothered since his belly was practically screaming like that of a beast. Grrrrwww. Feeling embarrassed, he quickly turned his attention to Minato and Yanhua, who were resting beside him. What the hell are you two lazing around for? Our tents aren't going to set themselves up by themselves. So what the hell are you two sitting down for? Move. Why? Yes, the duo answered, somewhat still in a daze. Now, they weren't all that scared of Hayden's group. What scared them was the wealthy traffickers. Like lifeless zombies, they started fixing the tents while deep in thought of what to do next. Their moments were too puppet-like and very disturbing to watch. Lulu saw them like this and felt that Terzo had intimidated them too much. She calmly took out a chocolate bar to curb her hunger and only scoffed in disdain. TCH. What a bunch of weaklings. Soon, her focus turned to her charming man, who was standing at the corner, making a call. And in a region not too far away from them, several gangsters were busy sharpening their daggers cruelly, while others were pointing their guns at trees as if practicing for fun. Anyone who ran into this group of gangsters was sure to make for the heels in fear. One of the gangsters with blonde hair, who was crouching down with a cigarette in his left hand, snugly held the phone close to his ears while taking big pulls from the cigarette. Heh. Boss. We did a full sweep over the place and found no other people in sight. Only you five, entering the vicinity. And are the boys ready? Boss. Relax. We've got everything under control. Me and the boys are all in position. Our men have surrounded the entire place. And even if things do get bad, we have our plan B and C on speed dial, no. And besides, this isn't our first operation. So even if they're rich, we got 200 of our men here. That's why I say relax. We've got this. This gig is big. So how can we afford to screw it up? Good. That's what I like to hear. Remember, this is a big gig. Just wait until I give you all the signal before you rush in. For now, stay hidden at all times. And when they arrive, point all guns at them. Be ready to take any necessary shots when you get the signal. The blonde gangster let out a thick cloud of smoke before standing up again. No problem, boss. We'll stay out of sight until... Boss. I think I heard something. With that, the gangster looked up and instantly froze. Choppers. Whoop. 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 The chopper blades whistled in the air, creating a fierce wind as it flew over. Damn. Being rich had never looked so good. Do you expect these rich people to walk up the mountain for hours just like they did? Impossible. When one was rich, they came in style. The blonde gangster could only watch the approaching choppers enviously while getting everyone to quickly take cover. They had to stay hidden, lest the chopper lights catch a glimpse at them. Everyone, get in position now. They're coming. Our big fat sheep are coming. Whoop. 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 Listening to the sounds of the approaching choppers, Ji Shen and his gang, hidden safely away, couldn't help marveling at the scene they were witnessing. Damn it. They felt like they were caught up in some gangster exchange. What exactly were they witnessing? The more they dug into the matter, the more confused they were. But the most mysterious thing of all was their young master's skills. They thought they would have to clear the space for him, keeping the coast clear for him to pass. But before they could say anything, their young master had already moved ahead stealthily past the line of gangsters. It was only now that they realized that they didn't know much about this loner young master of theirs. As expected, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. As for Hayden on the other side of the phone call with the gangster, he could already hear the loud whistling sounds of the choppers. Whoop. 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 His heart pounded excitedly as he could already envision all the money he would collect. Each person would be given 10 million, and he would allow Terzo and Lulu to keep 8 million each out of their tens. Of course, Minato and Yanwo would die, and he would pump their own money into his gang, making his men happy or else they might revolt. Out of the 20 million from the duo, he would only use 15 million for his gang. And as for him, the 5 million extra, coupled with his own 10 million given to him and the additional 4 million from both Terzo Lulu. He would have a whopping 19 million all to himself. Yes. He had already calculated how the money would be shared. It was all his. All his. Ha 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 ha. Hayden smiled idiotically while watching the choppers above. Good. Let the games begin. Chapter 13 Rich Cows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whoop. 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 The choppers flew sky high and slowly descended into the massive open space below, as its lights illuminated the ground below. The wind from the chopper blew several tiny pebbles away, and the nearby grass and shrubs rippled along the wind waves too. Hayden, Lulu and Terzo stood proudly and started waving at all 5 choppers that were now landing. Ha 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 ha. Today, nothing would stop them from getting that money. At the same time, Minato and Yanwo could only hide behind the trio instead. Oh, no. The traffickers are here. Everyone had different thoughts running through their brains, including the gangsters. They didn't know about any dares and only thought of this as a job. And even at the distance they were hiding from, it would be pretty darn hard for them to pick up any words Hayden and the rest were saying. So, in their minds, these rich cows were here for business. Just like that, several people all watched the choppers land with different emotions swirling within them. Whoop! 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 The chopper blades slowed down and soon came to a standstill, making everyone's heartbeat rise. Anyone would be curious to know who the choppers were carrying. Silence. At this moment, no one dared to make a move, with some even forgetting to breathe. The tension was so high that the air seemed very brittle. Time seemed frozen in its place, as everyone stretched their necks while holding their binoculars too. Come on. Come on. Get out of the choppers already. Oh my God. They were dying from suspense. The chopper blades had already stopped twirling, so what the hell were these people waiting for? Don't they know that there was an audience watching the show out here? Well. They didn't know. But so what? Couldn't they at least hurry up for the 5 guests who were standing before the choppers? Ugh. Everyone was dying from all the suspense. TCH, rich people were so hateful. Everyone watching from afar felt that these people were overdoing it. They grumbled for a bit before the chopper doors suddenly opened all at once. And out came several men in black suits with dark glasses on their faces too. They dashed out of the choppers, taking with them several foldable chairs but only a single long foldable table. So they wanted to set up the place for the business transaction. These men in black suits worked fast. And soon enough, after everything was in order, they quickly stood at the sides in silence. Following that, a few other guards from the choppers now got down and extended their hands back, helping the wealthy cows down the choppers. Finally. Took you all long enough. Those watching through their binoculars were quite exasperated. One would think it was royalty coming down with the way these people acted. They were about to curse a bit more until they spotted the most alluring woman ever. Whoa! All the gangsters watching the show felt their faces grow hot when they watched the lady in red walk towards one of the seats. Heavens! How could such a tempting person exist? Her bosoms were perked up, almost popping out of the right-fitted red dress, and her wavy black hair only created a deep contrast to her clear, smooth pearl dot-like skin. Her reddish lips, as well as the way she walked, just added an extra thrill in their eyes as they took in her full glory. No. It should be illegal for such a person to exist, right? Damn. As expected of the rich. One look and they could tell that she had probably never faced any hardships in life. This sort of beauty was to be pampered and treasured forever. Oh. What they would give for just one night with her. After successfully peering their eyes away from the beauty, they went on to observe 2 other elderly men who stepped down. The first middle-aged man seemed more relaxed, wearing a vacation shirt, some shirts, a pair of slippers and glasses. What was strange was that even though they were sure he was elderly with his long white beard, his body looked very well maintained. And as for the other elderly man, he held a cane while wearing a towel robe. What sort of perverted grandpa was this? He stepped out wearing a white towel robe, and they were even afraid to guess whether he was actually wearing anything underneath or not. The thought made them shrivel subconsciously. They've heard that the elderly who were rich had some funny quirks, but this guy's own just took the cake. Following these 2, an old granny jumped out of another chopper energetically, hanging her walking cane over her shoulders rather than using it to walk. Those watching didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If you weren't going to use it, then why bother taking it out? From a single glance, they could tell that Granny here was a troublemaker. They pulled their eyes away from Granny to see the last guest stepping out of the 5th chopper. Oh! It was a devilishly handsome 25-28-year-old boy in a stylish greenish suit, holding a reddish dark rose in his hand that looked like it was dying. Okay, so he was a flirt. But what was up with the withering rose? Deep in the bushes, Dorian's men were also discussing the matter like crazy, trying to see if they could recognize any of these wealthy nobles. But so far, they remained clueless about who they were. Like so, everyone watched these 5 guests pop out of the 5 choppers here, assessing every one of them, not knowing that they too were being watched as well. As for the guests in question, a ruthless glint flashed across their faces when they secretly glanced at their surroundings. Heh! They took their seats and playfully stared at Hayden's bunch, licking their lips in ecstasy from time to time. Tonight was going to be a night to die for. Chapter 14 The Dare. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A sharp wind flew across the field as silence settled in. Now, it was time for the game to begin. Lady Katrina squinted her beautiful oval face, looking at Hayden and the rest playfully. So, this is the last game we'll all be playing together. That said, why don't we get down to business? The other rich cows looked at her and grinned merrily. That is, our dear contestants have suffered to get here. So it's only right for us to do things fast. I agree. It's best to dive straight into the matter. After all, it's been a long time since we were this starved for fun. So why not hurry things up? You 5, are you ready for the game? Game. What game? Degree. Everyone hidden away in the surrounding bushes and trees was shocked that they could hear what these people were saying. Could it be that the strong wind had managed to carry and exhale out the conversations word for word? Well, this was good then. They really wanted to know what was going on. Especially when they heard the word game involved. The gangsters were more confused than ever. Wasn't this supposed to be a transaction? So how did things turn into a game instead? Nonetheless, they thought it might be code for something else. Maybe passing on a hidden message. Now, everyone's ears were perked up high, wanting to know what this game thing was all about. Hearing the word game, Minato and Youngbo's hearts skipped a beat. The more they looked at the people before them, the more they felt that something wasn't right. Excuse me. But we would like to withdraw from it all. Yes. We want out. You all shut up for me. Hayden barked angrily. Yeah. If you don't have anything meaningful to say, then just shut it. Humph. A bunch of cowards. Want to make them lose millions. Impossible. Meanwhile, the rich cows seemed to enjoy their little show, as they all watched in amusement. The dashing man in a green suit holding the withering rose, lazily raised his left eyebrow and chuckled. Now. These are civilized times. So why work yourselves up? Even though I'm typically very easy to get along with, that doesn't mean that I'll just let anything slide. Want out? Well, that option is no longer possible for any of you. And that includes your little friends hiding around in the dark. Hayden's eyes dilated in disbelief. They know. But how? The gangsters were also shocked as well. They had scouted this region for 2 whole days and had also strictly monitored the place too. They were very sure that no one from these rich people's sides had come by, so how did they know? Could it be that there were people similar to those assassins in movies hiding around? Butler Sheng and the rest also felt uneasy. Instantly, they became extremely vigilant. But Dorian only chuckled, making them very helpless. Why did it seem like their young master was taking this whole thing like a walk in the park? Looking at the people before him, Hayden quickly adjusted his mentality, smiling calmly at them. Well, I did bring in my men here. But they're still clueless on the specifics or what business I have with you all. They're just here to guarantee my safety, as well as the safety of the money. After all, how are we sure that after this, you wouldn't double-cross us? Lady Katrina and everyone else's eyes curved upwards, appreciating Hayden's quick response. Indeed. Someone who controls any group of individuals, whether gangsters or even a manager, will always be a quick thinker. He still had his eyes on the prize. Beeldamad took a whiff of the dying rose in his hands and tilted his head to the side, looking at Hayden deeply. Indeed. We could have double-crossed you. So it was wise of you to secure your safety. That said, whether you bring security or not makes no difference to us. I thought as much. You're right. It won't make any difference since our original goal was to play and get out. Hayden said calmly, causing Beeldamad to laugh loudly. Ha 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 ha. His deep, terrifying laugh echoed out, making the entire place feel grim. Hayden couldn't help frowning. What the hell was so funny here? Everyone else inwardly asked the same question while getting very weirded out too. They didn't know if it was their imagination, but his laughter seemed to carry a murderous aura that was almost drowning them silly. But this couldn't be right. Beeldamad was thinner, weak looking and very harmless with a flirtatious charm. So how could such a person make them tremble? It had to be their imagination, right? Yanbua and Minato didn't think so. To them, this was already the sign that these people were traffickers. Ha 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 ha, the laughter echoed out, causing the night owls to flock away and the animals to run for their lives. At the same time, a dark cloud was slowly forming above, even though no one paid attention to it. They were all too distracted by the man seated in green with a dying rose that now had just one petal on it, while 3 other petals had already dropped onto the ground. Ha 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 ha. Hayden couldn't take it anymore. And what the hell is so funny about what I said? You and your overly confident ego. Tell me, Mr. Harden, do we genuinely have the same goals? Your goal is to leave this place richer than before. But our goal seems to be different from yours. You see, we intend to keep you and your men here forever. So tell me, are we really on the same side? Silence. Countless thoughts raced through everyone's minds in fear. Be it those hiding or those out in plain sight, they all felt a cold draft of wind engulf their surroundings as the words echoed deep within their minds over and over again. What did these sons of B** cheese mean? It was then and now that Hayden knew that they had fallen into a trap. Damn it. The good four nothings were right. These people were traffickers. Chapter 15, Too Late for Regrets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone's minds went blank with fear and worry. Just what did these people mean by saying they wanted them to remain here forever? Beeldamad gently placed his head on his hands and grinned. The greed in Hayden's eyes quickly cleared, leaving only fear behind. Suddenly, he remembered the warning from that divination master and couldn't help cursing his former self silently. Damn it. Why didn't he stop for 1 second and believe? How can money compare to his life? Looking at the bunch of bastards seated, he gritted his teeth unwillingly. What the F** do you bastards mean by that? We had a deal. Oh. So what? Anything can be broken or changed when fixed. So, I guess. We just decided to change our minds. Well then, change it back. Hayden was almost losing his breath talking to this bastard when he suddenly recalled something. With that, he released a very crooked smile. If I'm not mistaken, you have your own team that has us surrounded. And yes, even though that seems to be the case, I still have my men pointing bullets to your pretty little heads. Yes. In the end, you all might be able to take me down, as well as my men. But that won't happen without some casualties resulting in your deaths. So for everyone's sake, I suggest you stop this nonsense and hand over the money as planned. Clap. 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 Katrina and the others seated clapped as they watched Hayden stand his ground, even though his hands in his pockets were trembling non-stop from fear. Bildamad chuckled. Little boy, what if I told you that your men would be dead before they can even make the shot? What? Everyone hiding around felt tingly all over when they heard him. F*******. So there were really experts around that had locked in their positions. Mommy. The world seemed so scary. Hayden and the other four felt their body vibrate even harder when he felt the murderous aura leaking out of these people. It was so frightening that they couldn't help taking a few steps back. Minato and Yanbua were the most terrified of all. Grabbing Lulu and Terzo's shoulders, they shook them hard with rage. I knew it. I know we shouldn't. That's right. We told you all, but no. You just wanted the money. Do you see where it has taken us? It's all your greed. Pa. Lulu slapped Yanbua's hands off her shoulder in fear. Shut up, all right. How is it our fault? It's obviously their fault for fooling us. We are just victims. Yeah, we are just victims. Quick, contact the police. I don't care anymore. Terzo whispered with trembling lips. Lulu, who always had her phone on her to take pictures, shakingly dialed 501 hastily. They thought they were doing it in hiding, but Bildamad and the rest had long since seen their actions. After dialing and waiting, Lulu's face instantly turned pale when the bold words popped on her screen. No signal. How was this even possible? The signal was on just before these people arrived. So where did it go? Mr. Signal, where are you? Lo Yanbua, Minato and Terzo's faces grew visibly pale when they saw Lulu's brain log off. Bon voyage, it was gone, leaving her standing like a dazed zombie. Damn it. What was wrong with her? Woman. Now, wasn't the time to be zoning out, alright. They hastily snatched the phone away, only to see the most heart-wrenching message of all time. Boom. An explosion occurred in their minds. Ah. They held their chests hard as if they were about to have a great attack. They were doomed. No signal. No signal. Terzo mumbled continuously. Why now? Why in heaven's name did it have to go now? Hayden, who was left talking and facing these rich bastards, felt his legs turn soft like jelly when he heard Terzo say no signal. He had been silently paying attention to them and was hoping that they could contact the police. At this point, wasn't it better to be with the authorities than these perverted people? In fact, he wished he could stream the whole thing as evidence too. Who knew what they wanted to do with him? You. Don't think that because you all are rich, you can do whatever you like. No matter how rich you all are, murder is a crime. So you bloody traffickers and organ stealers better not think about touching a hair on my head. Traffickers. Organ sellers. Darling. Who said anything of that sort? Katrina said calmly, confusing everyone. At this moment, even Butler Sheng, Biwo and Haru hiding away, were very much confused. If they weren't traffickers or organ dealers, then why did they lure these people away? Young master, I don't get it. Oh. Don't worry. The real show is about to begin. By then, you'll understand. Dorian said with a coy smile on his face. Everyone else looked at their young master helplessly, as well as anxiously. If he knew, then why not just tell them? All this tension was making them anxious as well, all right. More still, they were very much outnumbered here. So how can their young master remain this calm? They looked around anxiously, fearing for the young master's safety as well as theirs. Who knows if the so-called hidden assassins would spring out now? They couldn't help but want to kill their former selves. When they left the hospital, they were ready for action. But now that they were faced with several hidden assassins, they just wanted to cry helplessly. Was it too late to retract their wishes? T to the power of T. Chapter 16 Grand Reveal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone stared at them in confusion. So they weren't traffickers or organ dealers. Degree, okay, they were once again left in a state of confusion. Katrina licked her seductive, plump lips at them. Darlings, how can you think someone as gorgeous as I would be into such a messy thing? What? They were overthinking it. Everyone suddenly felt a wave of relief from it all and smiled awkwardly. Well, they were wrong. How can such a beautiful lady be into such a dirty business? Hayden, who had now had a bean sport of hope within him, cautiously looked at them in disbelief. So? You don't want to harm us? Katrina smiled seductively. Well. We aren't into any of those dirty businesses. So you don't have to worry about that. Confirming things again, Lulu and the rest broke out in celebration. Ha 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 ha. Did you hear that? They said they weren't into that. Yeah. It seems that we misunderstood this entire time. Damn it. I'm so happy that if you weren't my big brother's girl, I would kiss you right now. Terzo and the rest couldn't help smiling since they felt like they had just crawled out from the list of hell. They even went as far as hugging themselves tightly and jumping around like rabbits. At this point, they had even touched Minato and Yambwa without yelling at them. It was as if they were all old buddies. With tears in their eyes, they looked upwards and thanked their lucky stars. It's good. It's good that they overturn things. The old granny clapped and laughed with them as well. Clap. 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 Isn't this great? Aren't you all happy that we don't do dirty jobs? Well, fortunately for you, what we do is way cleaner. Don't worry. You won't even feel a thing. Ha 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 ha. Yes, it's way. Silence, what did she mean? Seeing their shocked expressions, Bildamad decided to help the old granny pass along her teachings well. Ha 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 ha. It's simple. You all are indeed in danger. But with our way of handling things, you won't feel any pain whatsoever. So, it's this better than your earlier speculations? What? Lulu and the rest shook their heads vigorously while opening their eyes wide and taking a few steps back. No. No, please, we don't want to die. All right. This has gone on long enough. So how about we cut things off here? I'll tell you what. Why don't we make tonight a little livelier? Everyone hiding around, come out, or you'll die faster than you can take your next breath. Of course, if you do come out and survive whatever we do, then you are all free to go. I'll only give you all to the count of 5 to start moving. Remember, we know all your hidden positions. So die in the next few seconds, or struggle to survive and leave by the end of it all. The choice is yours. Audience. _F*****. Everyone was now in a severe state of panic. Their bodies trembled, and their eyes darted from left to right, right to left, up, down, and all sorts of direction in fear. Several gangsters were sweating buckets in the woods. Knowing that even radio frequencies weren't working, they knew that their leaders out here couldn't communicate with them at all via walkie-talkie. This meant that they had to decide for themselves. Bro, what do we do? What do we do? You're asking me. ***T. I'm also confused. I think they might not know all our positions, so why don't we just try laying low? As they spoke, Bildamad snapped his fingers, and one of the men in black began the countdown. 1. The gangsters froze and continued thinking about what to do. Maybe they could really get away with it. 2. The air froze with uncertainty. 3. The pressure increased so much that they began shaking like leaves in fall. 4. They were in hell. With pale faces, almost all gangsters jumped out in terror, rushing towards the open field with all their might. Screw this. They were out. Wasn't it better to have a chance of survival than die instantly? Without a doubt, many decided to take a leap of faith here. Of course, there were still others who always felt that they were too smart and would definitely get away with hiding away. For now, whether their decision was right or wrong, only time would tell. Thud. 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 Thud, like a stampede, the sounds of numerous footsteps echoed around the place like crazy, making Beelzebub and his companion smile playfully. It was always fun playing with prey. As for those who dared stay hidden, they only looked at some of the men in black, who in turn slowly backed away into the dark forest. Only the heavens knew what they were doing there. Very calmly, Dorian's group also walked out as well. Butler Shang and the rest were very much worried. But seeing their young master smile, they somehow felt reassured. Could it be that the young master already knew of this and had gotten the police or anyone else to head over here? They couldn't understand what it was that made their young master so confident when even they were so worried. What cards did the young master have up his sleeves? The gangsters were so busy keeping their gazes focused on Beelzebub's group that they didn't even notice Dorian's team walking amongst them. In such a situation, who would have the time for this? Dorian cracked his fingers and smiled playfully. All right. It's been a long time since he moved around like this. This should be a good warm-up for his future escapades. He just hoped that his men would be able to handle it. With everyone now gathered, Beelzebub and the rest calmly stood up and smiled unnaturally, with their mouths stretching towards their ears. And what happened next was something that these gangsters and everyone else would never forget in their lives. Mommy. Chapter 17 Grand Reveal 2 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cold. The entire place suddenly turned cold as its temperatures dropped by the second. And soon enough, a ghastly screen of fog crawled out of the surroundings, forming a thick, ankle-level carpet of white mist. The chilly fog quickly stretched its claws towards the crowd, swimming between their legs mischievously. Where the hell did it come from in these hot summery times? Some forced themselves to laugh while looking around anxiously. Ha ha ha. Very funny. This should be a joke from these wealthy people. Yes. It should be. They just want to see us suffer in fear. So there should be a hidden camera crew somewhere, right? Right. Countless thoughts raced through everyone's minds as they found their feet engulfed in the strange frosty fog. It was so thick that they couldn't even see the ground at all. Should they look at the rich, terrifying bastards before them, or should they look at the mysterious fog beneath? Their entire surroundings gave them a deep sense of uncertainty. Everyone couldn't help gulping in fear as they felt that something wasn't right with this fog. Firstly, no matter how they looked at it, smoke, gas, or anything else was supposed to occupy higher grounds, floating higher in the air due to density. But this one seemed to be sinking instead. It stayed on the ground and refused to disperse or go higher, which wasn't logical at all. Moreover, how could it be so cold? The cold seemed to penetrate the deepest parts of their bones, causing them to shiver uncontrollably. Fear, despair, and all sorts of negative emotions welled up within them. What would become of them? The gloomy wind playfully whistled across the field, creating an even greater catalyst for Minato and Young Bu's breakdown. Looking at Terzo and Lulu, their expression turned maddening as he grabbed Terzo in hate. I told you that we shouldn't have come here. But you bastards didn't listen. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. No. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Plop. The duo fell to the ground while watching their lives flash right through their very eyes. Their greatest regret in this life was passing through the alley when they first met Hayden and his gang. If they could do it all over, they would never pass through that alley again. No, not only that alley, but every other one too. What shortcut home? That was definitely the root cause and his one-way ticket to this hell. Beelzebub and the others looked at everyone's terrified expressions and chuckled in amusement. What cowards! Without even seeing the entire show, these people were already freaking out this much. TSK. It looks like they overestimated their prey, thinking they would make good entertainment before the main event. But who would have known that these buff, burly people would start acting like frantic children so soon? Of course, some like Hayden and a few others still tried to stay tough, even though their feet were all wobbly in fear. But they had to say that the more fear their prey felt, the sweeter the smell in the air. It was so intoxicating that they couldn't wait anymore. Ho 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 ho. Their breathing became heavier with sheer excitement as they licked their lips, oozing out whitish saliva from the corners of their mouths uncontrollably. And it was there and then that everyone knew they were F*** edition. Everyone watched as the already unnatural smile on the faces of Beelzebub and the rest stretched past their ears, moving to the back of her heads. Beelzebub and the rest shook their bodies from side to side, causing large cracking sounds to echo out. Crack. 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 Their bodies hunched and grew massive into something that made everyone feel like puking. The faces before them were so gruesome that words alone wouldn't be able to describe them. Ugly. It was the most hideous thing they had ever seen in their lives. They pointed their quivering fingers while trying to force their fear-stricken legs to make a run for it. Demon. Everyone stared with reddish eyes when they realized how much of a scam their lives had been. Didn't they say demons and all those other things were myths? Didn't they say that only science would hold the key to everything? It was all a lie. And they deserved a damn good explanation from society. No. They wanted their refunds. Plop. Many more dropped to the ground and used their hands to crawl backwards while releasing a foul stench of pee. Their undergarments were soiled, soaking wet. But so what? They didn't know who started it, but some quickly joined their hands together and started praying to whatever god existed out there. After all, if there are demons, then there should be angels too, right? Right. Instantly, they started praying while crying as well. Oh holy God, are you out there? If you save me, I swear I'll never do bad again. Oh. The almighty being of whoever. If you save me, I promise to start brushing my teeth more often. And that's not all. I'll do more good deeds too. Oh, heavenly being. I'm the only middle child in my home. So if I'm gone, who will replace me? That's why you should save me, for my parents' sake. Look. I'll even throw in a bargain with you. If you save me, I promise to turn myself in for all too. Number 5 of my past crimes. So what are you waiting for? Come out and save me. The heavens. Should we really save these people? The entire scene was filled with countless people praying, wailing, or attempting to flee. At the same time, Butler Sheng and the rest were sweating buckets from fear alone. Dorian tilted his head and smiled at their horrified expressions. I told you I'd be bringing you all into a new world, right? So. How do you like it? It's good, right? Guards. Young master. If we say we want to beat you up, would you believe it? Looking at their calm and collected young master, they could only shake their heads bitterly when they remembered today's events. If you would have told them that today's matter would end like this, they would have thought the informant to be drunk or mentally incapacitated. But now, their entire minds and bodies had exploded in horror. They were used to dealing with humans, so how could they not be afraid? Thinking about it more, didn't this mean that these were types of enemies that their Tian family would start facing? Wait. So they were secretly demon hunters. F******. Chapter 18 The demons are active. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright. Enough dilly-dallying. It's time to go to work. The guards. Everyone pouted in both fear and helplessness. Young master. What work? This is our first time on the job here, so how are we supposed to know what to do? Moreover, why did it seem like you're happier than usual? Everyone looked at those loudly praying before finally settling their gazes at the sky above. Maybe if they prayed too, then all this would go away. Stay close to me, or you might not survive. Yes, young master. They replied while sticking around Dorian like glue. Even though their thoughts had flown away earlier on, they weren't stupid. To them, if the young master had known of this all, then he had a way to save the day. That's why staying by him was the best possible outcome here. They followed him so closely that they didn't even notice when they began sandwiching him. Butler Sheng stood on the left, sidestepping ever so slowly with his hands close to Dorian's waist. Haru also did the same on Dorian's other side, while Buo was at the back, hugging Dorian too. What a joke. No matter who it was, seeing demons or underworld creatures pop out would make one terrified to the bones. So they weren't ashamed of their behavior at all. Humph. This was manly. Dorian chuckled at their behavior. Back in his former world, he had never seen such a situation before. From birth, people were made aware of underworld beings and constantly fought them out in the open. So almost no one was scared of them. To this former world, it was the same as going to the hospital for treatment. Of course, just like the hospitals that issued the severity of the degrees of illnesses, the same could be said for exorcism. The issue only becomes frightening depending on the grade of the underworld creature. So people knew about these creatures for centuries and centuries. That's why getting this scared was unheard of and somewhat amusing to him. He didn't feel that their behavior was disgraceful. This world's settings to him were too wrong. So it was understandable. Nonetheless, they were beginning to close in too tightly, making it hard for him to take further steps. Their bodies trembled the closer they got to the hideous monsters, as sweat trickled down their faces and backs like crazy. Everyone was so scared to the bone that they dared not look at the underworld creatures before them. Gulp. Why, young master, C. Can we not get too close? Sure. You can stay behind. After all, it's understandable why you would think that. Everyone sighed from relief while looking at Dorian gratefully. Thank you, young master. Ichim. You all can stay behind if you want. But if you do, then you'll be doing so on your own. Oh. And a word of advice, the fog below isn't ordinary. Everyone felt their hearts sink, with their faces growing visibly paler by the second. The more they looked at the fog covering their legs at ankle level, the more anxious they became. They seemed to have imagined a scene where other demons would pop out of the fog. Damn it. They knew it wasn't normal. What sort of fog stays low, refusing to rise? Could it be alive? Their chests grew tighter, and their knees quaked the more they stared at it. Young master. We will go with you. Yeah. Better around you than alone here. Young master, have I ever told you how good looking you are? Yeah. Young master, you are the most handsome person I've ever seen before. Dorian. Dorian paused and looked at his burly, broad-shouldered guards in amusement. The power of fear was truly a miraculous thing. He chuckled and swiftly removed himself from their tight grip. All right. Let's go. Yes, young master. They replied while walking close to him. And even though the young master didn't say anything, they knew that if he were going to face whatever was ahead, he needed fighting space. So they couldn't cling to him again as they did. At the same time, they dared not stand too far away. Sigh. The story of their lives. With that, the gang advanced steadily through the massive, panic-stricken crowd. In fact, the chaos in the crowd was so great that it could put the fear of God in one. No. No. I have to get out of here. I can't die like this. Quick. Let's leave this open field, run through the woods and flee. Yes. If we all flee at the same time, we would have a better chance of escaping than waiting here to be required by some demons. I think you're making sense here. Yes. Out in the open fields, they can easily soot us, but in the woods, we have a chance. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. With that, countless people dashed in all directions towards the woods with all their might. And the closer they got, the happier they became. Ha 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 ha. Almost there. Almost there. This is it. This is our time to escape. Their expressions turned drunk with glee as they leaped with big steps forward. Some fell and stood up again, while others pulled those around them behind, trying to overtake them. Their hearts pumped loudly, and their eyes bulged crazily while advancing as fast as they could. Just a few more steps and that was it. Ha 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 ha. It was that simple. Or so they thought. Because in the next second, something miraculous happened. Bam! Several loud sounds echoed across the fields, bringing everyone's attention to the scene. Silence. Time seemed frozen in time as many tried processing what just happened. Everyone had seen the first people who tried to head towards the woods suddenly fall as if they were slammed against a wall and were utterly terrified by it all. A certain distance away from the perimeter of the field, those who tried to escape fell. They grunted and wiped off the blood trickling from their foreheads, feeling no pain at all. With bigger problems at hand, what pain could they feel? Very quickly, they jumped from the creepy, foggy ground and frantically placed their hands against the open space anxiously. Some even rushed up against the space with more might, before once again dropping to the ground with sprained shoulders. Everyone who saw this scene knew the truth at a single glance. Their faces grew grim as they rushed to the scene, trying to break free too. Bang! 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 Let us out! Let us out now! This can't be! This can't be! How could they get trapped with the monsters? Everyone anxiously did their best to flee. And as if this shock wasn't enough, the demons decided to finally make their move. Chapter 19 Trust Issues. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Buboom. 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 Everyone's heart drummed loudly in their ears. They punched and punched frantically, as a cold wave of air quickly embedded their bodies. But no matter what they did, they understood one crucial fact. They were trapped. They looked at the invisible wall with only tears and regret in their eyes. Why? Why did they come out tonight? They didn't even ask how this was possible. No. The existence of demons had already shattered their entire worldview. So how shocking would an invisible wall be to them? Sure. It was surprising, but their survival instincts had pushed that surprise factor down tremendously. Right now, they realized that being imprisoned here on this open field was enough to make many wet themselves silly. They felt like monkeys in a zoo cage. And as if this wasn't enough, on the other side of the wall, several reddish glowing eyes suddenly revealed themselves in the thick woods, causing everyone banging the wall to tremble and take several steps back. What were those? Now, no dared to think about going into the woods again. Those big glowing eyes told them all they needed to know about their surroundings. But even at that, they were still unwilling to die. What do they do now? Plop. Even more people dropped to the ground beating the soil, cursing, wailing or praying with all their might. Some even started speaking incoherently, as if speaking in tongues. Where were the ing angels when you needed one? Come out now and save us. Everyone was in a state of despair, but this was just the beginning. Ha 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 ha. I love this. Lady Katrina exclaimed, calling everyone's attention back to them. Silence. Everyone instantly froze in horror. Even those crying or making a scene dared not make any noise at all. Their hearts speeded up as all the color from their faces drained uncontrollably. And without any orders, many had already found themselves on their knees, placing their hands on the ground and their foreheads to their hands, shivering and bowing as much as they could to these beings of destruction. Of course, they dared not look at these monsters at all. Apart from being scared, the appearances of these creatures made them feel like throwing up. And to make it any worse, there was also a very foul, pungent smell oozing from the direction of these demons too. Blue. Many puked non-stop while shivering in disgust. Now, because of these demons, even if they left this place, they would definitely have trust issues. No, they might never look at beautiful women the same again. How does that lady in red earlier on go from the most beautiful woman in the world to this? The beautiful Lady Katrina that caused their mouths to previously water with lust, had now turned into something that they couldn't describe alone by words. All they knew was that she had long dirty fangs, a rotting face with maggots swimming in it, and very long, crumbled-looking wings that were a mix of brown, black and another color they weren't too sure of. Her feet grew 3 times longer, and her toes merged into big wolf-like 2 toes. And her hair was now floating in the air in clunks, acting like individual whips, ready to lash out. She had grown into a giant and had ripped out of her clothes, so they could see everything. But it wasn't a pretty sight. She hunched down, using her legs and hands to crawl creepily. And since she had grown 3 times their size, her crawling was at their standing level. So she was still at the same face level with them when standing. Nonetheless, her demonic body looked shriveled, saggy and skinny, with her previously perky bosoms now looking as flat as a long pair of slippers. They dangled around, shooting worms on the ground, as they shook with her every swaying move. Oh, and did they also mention that apart from her dirty-looking fangs, the rest of her teeth were also sharp and black as well? God! The thought of her rotting body and the numerous maggots they saw made them utterly disgusted. And this was just from taking a single glance at her. Yes. They were sure that there were a lot of details they missed. In fact, they had only seen a fraction of Katrina's real look because even at this moment, the more fear she absorbed, the closer she was to how her real body looked in the underworld. This was nothing compared to the true essence of her demonic body. Heh. Her tail hadn't even grown yet and they were this scared. Pathetic. Everyone had already gotten at least one peek of the gigantic demons before them, who all had different looks altogether. Some were fat and plump, while others were so skinny like bones but taller than the rest instead. Another somehow grew 2 other heads while that granny from earlier on transformed alongside her cane, becoming a demon with insect hands. Each one was uglier than the other. And now, they understood why that old man from earlier on had come with a robe. Since the clothes were going to rip off, then why bother? All these details here and there made them realize that these people had been prepared for them from the get-go. So at this moment, they were at the mercy of these monsters. Many trembled and bowed on the ground, while only a handful of people still stayed standing. Katrina looked at those still up with a hint of amazement in her eyes. It would have been good if they could get complete fear out of these people. Especially the one who gave off no fear whatsoever amongst them. Damn. Getting his fear would be fulfilling. As demons, they feed off fear. So the more one resisted, the better the quality of fear extracted in the end. Just thinking about it made her drool uncontrollably. Sigh. It's a shame the show was over. After all, they had to wrap this up before the damn, heavenly hour began. Once it began, it would be too late to make their move. No. They had to make a move fast. With that, they stamped their hands on the ground with a loud bang while whispering something unknown. Spaspa soon, the fog, as if listening to their words, started moving like crazy. And what everyone saw made their bodies go limp in horror. But before they had time to react to what they saw beneath the fog, the ground suddenly shook. Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, the ground shook, and several people hugged each other in tears. They knew it. Their doomsday had arrived. Chapter 20 Time to Feast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The thick mysterious fog suddenly rose from the ground and stuck closer to the invisible walls surrounding them, permanently obscuring their vision of the woods. Everyone looked at the ground and was now taken aback. The entire field was dead. The previously luscious grounds were now all rotten, with worms and other creatures swimming in it. Ugh! It was so disturbing that many wondered how they had been standing on this land for so long without freaking out. And before they could make heads or tails of the matter, the ground abruptly trembled, leaving many hugging each other and crying. What's going to happen now? Rumble! Rumble! The vibrations increased more and more by the seconds, until soon, countless gigantic dark purplish vines popped out of the ground, creating beds of vines. Boom! Everyone looked at the vines beside their feet and couldn't help shedding tears. Even though the vines hadn't done anything yet, they had a strong belief that all they needed were orders from those demons, and that would be the end of their lives. And while everyone was vigilantly looking at the vines, Beelzebub and the others only smiled in satisfaction when their grand formation had been completed. They had their reasons for all this. But now that the preparations were done, it was finally time to feast. Ha 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 ha. I love mortals. Their greed is always the thing that kills them in the end. Tonight. We'll feast on you all. No. This wasn't what you promised. Silence. Oh. Beelzebub looked at the person who spoke in amusement. It was Hayden. How interesting. Even though the boy was standing and shaking like a leaf, he still built enough courage to speak up. For this, everyone else's eyes twinkled in awe while looking at him. Who here dared to talk to these demons? This was something they knew they couldn't do, yet Hayden had done so even amidst his fright. He asked the one thing they wanted to know but dared not speak. As expected of their leader. Of course, while the men looked at him with appreciation, the demons looked at him as if looking at a fool instead. Beelzebub smiled, stretching his rotting face, dropping maggots to the ground with his every movement. His demonic face was huge, having the appearance of a bat mixed with a dog. His long hairy rotting ears and his big fat nose that looked like someone had taken a chunk out of it were so disturbing to everyone. His entire face was rotting. And just like the other demons, he too had all sorts of insects swimming in him. Beelzebub smiled hard at Hayden as his dark light flashed past his green eyes. Heh! You don't really expect us to hold our promises, right? After all, we're demons, pathological liars by nature. Deceit is our world. Playing with you stupid humans is the only form of entertainment we love. It keeps us going and gives us ecstasy. Your stupidity knows no bounds. And this works well in our favor. Of course, I do understand why you all are idiots, though. Your little world has no knowledge of us. So it's reasonable that even after knowing our identities, you would still hold on to that little hope of freedom. Well, too bad that you would still think of believing or trusting in a demon after knowing their identity. The only outcome is to get stabbed in the back. So you see, tonight, there are no more games to play. Meaning there's no chance of winning or surviving after a game. To put it simply, your souls will be ours, and you won't even get the chance to reincarnate anymore. Yes. You will get devoured by us. Beelzebub said playfully, causing everyone's heart to fall deeper and deeper into despair. They couldn't escape through the invisible walls and couldn't dig a hole and escape with all these vines here. So their only option was to fly. They thought of rushing towards the choppers behind the demons and fleeing, but their legs refused to obey them. Besides, who would dare get closer to those monsters ahead? Soon, the smiling Beelzebub suddenly straightened up and stared at Hayden coldly before releasing his terrifying murderous aura around. Boy! Even though you're ignorant, it doesn't mean I am a person who allows others to cut me off when I'm talking. Especially a lowly human. So congratulations. You're my first prey. Swish. Beelzebub dashed towards Hayden with his hands and feet on the ground, causing everyone's stomach to tighten. Seeing this, Hayden sweated buckets as he fell backwards and also used his hands and feet to crawl away as well. No. You can't have my soul. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. His gruesome cries echoed around, creating waves of terror in everyone's heart. Katrina and the other demons just lazily watched, enjoying the show, and Beelzebub, the star player, was in a state of ecstasy at the thought of having his first meal in days. Ha 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 ha. The fear from the boy smelt so delicious that he revealed his long snake-like tongue while advancing. But for those watching, they couldn't bear to look anymore and turned their eyes away in fear. It was just too gruesome to watch. Hayden backed away as hard as he could, stumbled on a few vines with deep regret in his eyes. If given a second chance, he would live a different humbling life. Hayden's life flashed before his very eyes the closer Beelzebub's figure got. And soon, Beelzebub stretched out his long claws at Hayden with an almost crazed expression on his face. Food. 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 It smelt so damn good. Beelzebub was already envisioning the taste in his mouth. But just when he thought he would finally be able to taste his long-awaited dish, a loud sound echoed out, and before he knew it, he found himself flying backwards, hitting the now foggy wall like a fly. Boom. Bluff. He coughed out greenish blood in rage. Who?